Krishnan, it seems from sources on the ground that there were about 40 airstrikes in the Palmyra area today. It's not clear if they were Russian or Syrian Air Force. But what is clear is that that site is in great danger. It may be the airstrikes are also damaging the site. There's some evidence of that. But what I've been hearing from people is that if something isn't done to oust Islamic State from Palmyra, irreparable damage is going to be done to the ancient site. What has lasted 2,000 years can be destroyed in a minute. The vandals of the Islamic State haven't yet released pictures of the moment they blew up Palmyra's triumphal arch yesterday, but local people witnessed the destruction. Staff of Syria's Antiquities Department have been touring the Saladin citadel in Latakia, discussing how to preserve the country's extraordinary heritage.
Of course, here we haven't clashes, we haven't destruction.
But it's hard to think of anything but the greatest treasure of all.
But what I have in my heart, it's the moment of the liberation of the Palmyra. We should to be in coordination, opposition, Russia, United States, coalition, Syrian official army, and finally we will lose Palmyra if the Palmyra stay under control of these terrorists.
Inside the chapel of the Crusader castle, the remnants of a 12th century Christian fresco, painstakingly uncovered and preserved. Although 99% of artifacts in Syria's museums have been safely stored, 300 historical sites have been damaged or destroyed, and yet more pilfered.
The loss of the Palmyra, it will be the big mistake. We will be condemned by our future generations of future. In this moment, we are thinking how we can protect the Palmyra, how we can recuperate Palmyra. If no, we will lose one of the most important civilizations in the world.
After seizing Palmyra in May, the militants of the Islamic State used the Roman amphitheatre as an execution ground, the museum as a court and prison. Last month, they beheaded Khaled al-Assad, the long-term head of the site. Satellite pictures show that they've destroyed the Temple of Bel, focus of the ancient city's religious life. Few would mourn the modern architecture destroyed by war in Homs, but these were once people's homes and offices. Some who fled Palmyra have found temporary shelter here. Amongst them, 7 sisters living together after a terrifying escape through Islamic State-controlled territory.
We're angry because they're destroying our culture. We have such a wonderful historical place. We had an amazing view of Palmyra from our house in the evening. We could see everything. When we hear they're blowing up those monuments, we feel it's not just the stones they're destroying, but the people too.
Their father has disappeared, they told me. Their mother remains trapped in Palmyra. Still, they welcome the Russian bombing.
Of course I wouldn't be happy if the Russians killed my family and neighbours, but I would love to get my old life and home back. We've never lived in the conditions we live now. OK, we're safe, but it's not like before. In our town, we might be poor, but at least we're at home.
Others have been displaced from Deir ez-Zor to the east of Palmyra. Some of their relatives back home have joined Islamic State, or Daesh as they call it. This man, who wanted his identity hidden, said he'd spoken on WhatsApp to a cousin who said that Russian bombing was causing IS fighters to flee.
My cousin is in Daesh, and he told me that now they want to sell their property and run away. That's what he told me. Nobody's seen Daesh in the villages for a week. Cigarettes are on the streets now. Before, people didn't dare go outside. Now they're even smoking.
People who fled to government-held territory almost inevitably support Russian bombing. The question now is whether it will enable them to go home and whether it can save Palmyra, or just create more mayhem and destruction.